Hi, everybody. I see we're already pumping some scores in here. I really appreciate that right to get go. Um, Fascinating night. I mean, I know a lot of you have been following along all night long on Friday Night Drive Live, but this week has been as good or better than advertised. A lot of fascinating results to go through tonight as we go. I see some of you are already pumping those scores into me, and I appreciate it because hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit about them as we go. I see all those big Northern scores are up there for me. I love it. Gotta say, I'm looking at these right now, and most of them are going the way that I thought. But I guess the one that what I would say safely surprises me this evening would be North Boone's win over Genoa Kingston. Did not see that one coming, and especially the 35-6 margin. My goodness, that's a nice win for North Boone. Heard Genoa Kingston might be down a little bit this season, but that was definitely not on my radar for this evening. So nice job there. All right, so we just popped right through those big Northern scores, got those in there real quick. Now I'm going to start just kind of bouncing around here as I see them. Like I said, just got back from Joliet Catholic, where they were 19-0 winners over Providence. Talk a little bit about that while I'm catching up scores. Pretty dominating performance from the Joliet Catholic defense tonight. Providence could get no rhythm offensively. I'm not sure what the totals were. I didn't actually add them up, but I think Providence had less than 100 yards of total offense in the game. So kind of a rough night for Providence. I think better days to come for the Celtics later on in the season. But in all fairness, that schedule gives them very little chance to breathe. So they will have to fix what ails them pretty quickly to get themselves back on track for a playoff berth. 1-1 now. They did win in the first week over Lake Central, Indiana. So definitely a situation where the Celtics will have to step it up a little bit as they head into conference play in a loaded CCL schedule, just like pretty much everybody in that league. So, all right, doing some Chicago Public League scores real fast here that I'm getting in. I see Vocational with a win over Good. I'm not sure yet if that is significant, but Good has put together a couple of back-to-back good seasons. Peyton with a narrow win over Phoenix. That's a little surprising as well. Peyton, another one of those teams that has consistently done a nice job in the Chicago Public League over the past few years. All right, now I'm going to put the Fox Valley scores in, and those appear to all be in. Burlington Central with a 41-6 win over Dundee Crown. It's the Rockets back to 1-1 on the season. Dundee Crown drops to 0-2. Cary Grove nips Crystal Lake Central, and that is a nice win for Cary Grove. Off to a good start this season, already showing the signs of bouncing back from last year's 3-6 mark. So, good night for them. Prairie Ridge back to 2-0 again. Seems like we say that every time this time of year about the Wolves. 38-14 over Crystal Lake South tonight. All right. Jacobs with a 28-7 win over Hampshire. So that was pretty much what I expected there. No big surprise. All right. And now we've got Huntley about 2-0 as well with their win tonight. 35-6. McHenry. Got those done. So now we're going to move down to the Upstate 8, which I got all their scores in. So appreciate those scores that you guys are pouring in there. Feel free to keep doing that. I will eventually get to those when I start finding the gaps in the listings that I currently have. Always great to catch up with all you guys here that are checking it out. Fun night in Illinois high school football in week 2. Had a head on a swivel while I was watching the game that I was at, trying to keep track of all the other ones. Obviously, some notable games from across the state, some powerhouse teams taking some losses tonight that were unexpected. One of the bigger ones that I saw that surprised me was Morrison's narrow win over Princeton. Did not see that one coming. That was a last second field goal that gave Morrison a win when they had about a minute to drive the length of the field. So well done there. It was a big win for Morrison. I was checking the other day. It has been a while since Princeton has fallen in the Three Rivers games. They have established dominance in that league, had recently become the number one team in Class 3A in the Associated Press poll. So won't hold that ranking. Probably will go back to Byron, who won comfortably this evening. I did expect Byron to win that game. I'm not so sure I was convinced they would win it by as comfortable a margin as they did over Rockford Lutheran. I had some people telling me that Rockford Lutheran might be able to give them a little bit better game, but that did not materialize as Byron won that one real comfortably. All right, so now I'm heading back to the Upstate 8 to get those in. East Aurora with a 28-0 win over Elgin. This was, like I mentioned before, one of those nights where it felt like we could have a lot of interesting things happen, and they certainly did. There was just so many good games on the schedule that we were almost guaranteed to have some barn burners tonight, and that was definitely the case. So I'm interested to see how it all sorts out, because we've got a lot of teams that you are certainly not accustomed to seeing at 0-2 that are sitting there, and we'll kind of talk about those as we go here. We've got a lot of teams at 2-0 that, to be honest with you, have not been in that area. I noticed earlier when I was checking some random scores, a couple teams that have jumped out to 2-0 starts that I don't really think have done so for a little while at the very least, and in some cases for quite some time. I noticed Chicago Leo picked up a win this evening over Walter Christian, and that put them at 2-0 after they won on a Hail Mary pass against Bishop McNamara in week 1. So a good quality win for them tonight. They moved to 2-0, but now the sledding gets a lot harder for the Leo Lions as they enter conference play. So 2-0 for them, but still an uphill climb for them, but good strides. So that was one thing that I noticed earlier in regards to surprise 2-0 teams. I'm sure we'll discover some more as the evening develops here. Another one that I saw earlier tonight was Addison Trail improved to 2-0, and I'm not sure how long it's been since that's happened, but that was a nice win for them tonight over North Chicago. Typically, it becomes a rough go for them in the West Suburban Conference, so good for them to get off to a 2-0 start. So nice work there. Okay. Got over Vermilion Valley, scored a Moments, winning comfortably over Clifton Central. That surprises me a little bit. Maybe not the outcome so much, but the margin, 50-8. Big upset in that Vermilion Valley Conference tonight. Westville with a win over Bismarck Henning. Bismarck Henning ranked in the top 5 of the most recent Associated Press poll. So a little bit of a surprise there in the ranks of 2A. So like I just mentioned, I'm going through some non-conference games now, getting into that clump. Addison Trail with their 21-7 win over North Chicago. Gets them to 2-0. So Bennett, very nice win tonight over Moline. 38-7 in that one. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Bennett, the Red Wings, but I think I'm going to have to pick up some knowledge here in the near future. That's a strong effort for them, and Bennett is out of the box at 2-0. So maybe the Red Wings have a little bit more firepower than I thought they did. Moline kind of a surprising loss of that margin. Drops them to 1-1 on the season. So, kind of a marker there. Bradley Bourbonnais off to a 2-0 start with a win over Thornwood tonight. So the Boilermakers needing to get off to a good non-conference start after they get into pretty tough conference schedule in the Southwest Suburban. But having 2 wins in the bank before we even get started, they're a good start for the Boilermakers. They probably get to 3-0 next week. They have a game against a Wisconsin team that probably will have a hard time keeping up with Bradley because it was one of those we needed a game and they found one, but a much smaller school coming to Bradley Bourbonnais next week in week 3. All right, Bremen with a 55-32 win over Joliet Central. A little bit better effort for Joliet Central so far out of the gate this year. They are 0-2, but have been a little bit more competitive, so making under Coach Thomas Hart. But still, long way to go for the Steelmen. But Bremen now sitting 2-0 out of the box. Good start for them. Heading into South Suburban Conference play next week. So good start for them. They have kind of established themselves as maybe just a rung under Lamont as one of the stronger teams on that side of the conference, but off to the 2-0 start, and of course that always helps. Opens up the door because at 2-2, technically you really only are at 2-0. Technically, you really only have to win 3 more to get yourself a playoff berth. Nobody's thinking that way, but giving yourself quite a bit of breathing room if your schedule does tend to get a little bit tough. All right, Mundelein Carmel with a 20-10 win over Lake Forest tonight. That is a Corsair team that I think we are going to have to keep an eye on this year. Out of the box at 2-0. Interesting team with a lot of returning talent and a flashy freshman quarterback. I think could do some interesting things as he develops. That's a fun team. I like those guys. All right, Chicago Christian with a win over South Bend Clay out of Indiana. If I'm not mistaken, that puts them at 2-0 on the season. Hard to take a lot of stock out of what they've done. Not 2 opponents that are not all that strong, but we'll find out next week. They host Wheaton Academy, so that should be interesting. Price the King with a 48-3 win over Elmwood Park. I got to be honest, I think that's one of the more comfortable wins I've seen from Price the King and maybe in program history. All right, so Coal City wins comfortably tonight, 41-0. Gets back on track after Morris kind of took them apart in the first week of the season. So now I'll go down here and get to the Mid-Illini Conference so I can log that one in. Opponent 41-7 over Wheeling. So Conant on the board there with a W. King Sal out to 2-0 start with a 42-0 win over Clark. That's the first time De La Salle's been 2-0 in a couple of years. A good start for them. Had another one of those Catholic League teams that probably needed to get to 2-0 in the non-conference schedule, considering how difficult their schedule will get over upcoming weeks. So it's a good situation for them. So now we go here. DeKalb with a 20-7 win over Plainfield South. DeKalb gets back to the 500 mark with that win. Sycamore kind of had their way with DeKalb last week in their season opener. So, and Plainfield South drops to 0-2 on the season. So, All Prep with a win tonight over Amundsen, 49-14. So far tonight, at least in the games that I've seen, the only games that the Catholic League teams seem to be taking losses in are games where they played other Catholic League teams. So, not to say I'm all that surprised by that, but that seems to be par for the course for them. Downers Grove North winning the Battle of Downers Grove tonight, 35-13. Good solid win right there for North. White with a 40-14 win over Elgin St. Edward. Okay. So, like I said, lots of interesting games tonight. Still trying to kind of sift our way through a lot of crazy ones, but good time sifting through these scores. So, got to them early enough tonight where I think I'm going to be around a while. Also, don't have an early game tomorrow morning, so I'll be hanging around, playing around with these scores for quite some time, I think, tonight. So, if you want to hang around, feel free. Pop in, pop out. Like I said, I'll be soliciting some scores here in a little while, but for right now, I have quite a few to put in that I actually have. So we're 200, I believe, 212 games played tonight, involving playoff eligible teams in Illinois. So a lot of input, but I'm already seeing a fairly steady stream. All right, Fenwick with a 27-13 win over St. I was very interested to see what happened in that game. So I will admit when I'm wrong, and I appear to be wrong about Fenwick, or was wrong. Off to a very nice start, and now they head into an interesting game next week with Providence, who will probably be licking their wounds a little bit after that 19-0 loss to Joliet Catholic tonight. Geneseo, a 27-7 win over Grays Lake Central. That's a pretty important win for the Green Machine, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Don't know exactly where they fit in that Western Big Six race, but it certainly helps to be 2-0 out of the box. And that's what Geneseo is at this point in time. Grays Lake Central down to 0-2. Kind of a tough non-conference schedule for them. Lost to Bolingbrook last week. So get back in their own stomping grounds and hopefully get things back on track for them. So they play North Chicago next week. So based on early results, that looks like the kind of game that they might be able to find their way back to their winning ways. So Geneva tonight sends Lamont to a 0-2 record on the season, which I honestly can't remember the last time Lamont was 0-2 out of the box. So kind of a surprising start here. I still have very little reason to believe that Lamont will not turn the tide once they get into conference play. They've absolutely dominated their division in the South Suburban over the past few years. And I haven't really seen any indication of anybody that is really going to step up and try to take their throne as of yet. So we've got Lamont, like I said, at 0-2, kind of surprising, but nonetheless, somewhat difficult non-conference schedule. It looks like Libertyville is pretty good. They beat Lamont in week 1. Libertyville is 2-0. Geneva now 2-0. Looks like two good teams, but nonetheless, you never like to be in that situation. So definitely need to step in the right direction for Lamont. I think they'll bounce back relatively soon. I would not be surprised to see them get that back on track pretty quick. All right, there's an interesting one. Fox Lake Grant with a 21-14 win over Glenbrook North. I did not see that one coming. Grant kind of been a middle of the pack in their conference over the past few years. Uh, kind of a team that I wouldn't have expected, even though Glenbrook North has also kind of been in the middle of the pack of their conference. There's a bit of a size disparity between those two schools. I would have said heading into that Glenbrook North would have been the team that I would have expected to come out with that win, but Grant, a 21-14 victory. So for them, all right, Soucie keeps that winning train going, 49-14 over Frem tonight. That's a pretty big win for them. So Soucie out to 2-0, not a big surprise there. Hope Academy made a long trip to the San Diego area, picking up a 28-9 win over Santa Fe Christian. So Hope is also 2-0. And now Hope has a little bit of an interesting track now. They're actually in a conference. They've been an independent for years. They will start conference play in the Chicagoland Christian next week with a somewhat interesting game against Aurora Christian. Even though Aurora Christian did lose tonight, they lost to a angry Wilmington team, which if you've watched football around here, Wilmington coming off a loss is a different animal. So lost in week 1 to Seneca, came back with a strong win tonight over Aurora Christian. So IC Catholic 34-0 win over Orr to get to 2-0. Not surprising. They have a mismatch on the schedule. I see Catholic filling that date very late in the offseason with an opponent. So okay. Johnsburg with a 40-37 win over Reed Custer. That was a wild one. That was going back and forth. And finally, Johnsburg took advantage of a late interception to kind of get some separation, hang on for a 40-37 win over Reed Custer. That's one of the situations, to be honest with you, I think where that's a somewhat good loss for Reed Custer, who lost so much to graduation last year. For them to make that long road trip and go up and fight tooth and nail, I think that actually portends to good things for Reed Custer moving forward. So nice job there. Canelan with a 40-13 win over Wakanda. I was really interested in that game. That's a crossover of two conferences that don't really meet one another very often. Wakanda's been pretty successful over the last few years, but kind of got overwhelmed tonight by Canelan. It looked like lost 40-13. So this was an interesting game, I noticed. Kankakee with a 7-3 win over downstate Washington, down by the Peoria area. Washington took a 3-0 lead in a scoreless game in the third quarter, and on the ensuing kickoff, Tony Phillips ran it back from 97 yards for the only touchdown that was scored in that game as Kankakee claims a 7-3 victory. So Kankakee with two pretty good wins on the books, defeated Nazareth last week, and now picks off Washington, who was also ranked in the Class 6A state poll this week, I believe around number 7. So good start for Kankakee in a non-conference schedule that, to be honest with you, prepares them for a conference situation where they look to be the top dog, and I think they're pretty far ahead of the rest of the group this year. So probably won't be tested too much the rest of the way. All right, Lake Park with an 18-16 win over Oak Park River Forest. That's a good win for Lake Park. They've picked up a little early season momentum here. Wasn't sure how good they were. Kind of get lost in the shuffle of a very deep Duquesne conference, but it'll be interesting to see how they hold up over the next few weeks once they get into league play. All right, Lake Zurich, 16-3 victory over Glenbrook South. That's a good win right there. Lake Zurich tends to do a real nice job of scheduling high-quality opponents in the non-con. They did so again this year. Come out with that win tonight. So good one for them. Maybe it makes you wonder if maybe this is the year Lake Zurich can break through and capture that conference crown, especially with Warren now out of the gates at the 0-2 mark to start the season after losing in South on that Thursday That Thursday evening game, not sure why that game was on Thursday, but it was. So Maine South capturing that 28-17 win Thursday night. So Glenbrook South will tag that loss in there. Okay, I mentioned that before. I'm putting it in officially now. Leo with a 49-2 win over Walter Christian. So gets Leo out 2-0. Libertyville with a 34-14 win over Richards. So Libertyville has been picking off members of the South Suburban Conference. They beat Lamont last week. Now they have taken out Richards. So arguably the best program on both sides of that 14-team conference. Libertyville has won over both of those two teams. Richards now at 0-2 after they got beat by Morgan Park in week one. I haven't got to that score yet, but I did see it. But I'm going to do right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to publicly apologize to Lincoln Way Central, who is now out to 2-0 after routing Evanston 41-0 tonight. So Lincoln Way Central under Dave Woodruff, new head coach there, really showing some mettle. I saw them a little bit this summer. I wasn't sure what we were going to get, and I have clearly underestimated them. So done a nice job winning games over St. Charles East and Evanston to start the season. Definitely get a little bit of a amped up level of competition though to see how real this is. Have a interesting non-conference game in week 3 where they travel to O'Fallon. That game will be played at Illinois State University next Saturday afternoon. So, well, this was the game that I was wrestling with going to instead of the game that I did attend, and I'm kind of having some buyer's remorse now after finding out how it ended. Lincoln Way East with that 14-13 win over Batavia tonight. Batavia had an opportunity to win the game with a 2-point conversion late in that contest. Way East stopped that conversion and claimed that 14-13 win. So, heck of a game there. I expected it to be a heck of a game. Really was quite stellar. I was kind of following the updates and picking up information as I could on that game. Sounds like it was a fantastic high school football game. To be honest with you, is exactly what I expected from these two programs who really do things the right way and are a joy to watch whenever you have the opportunity to do so. So, see those teams on the schedule and they're close by. I highly recommend both of them. So, good job there. Good game all around. One of those games that you like to see on the schedule, just for competitive sake, and have that opportunity to kind of get a real early measuring stick on how good you really are. Both those teams are excellent. I really feel like they were ranked 3-4 in the latest rankings in the Friday Night Drive Power Rankings. I don't expect Batavia to fall too much with that loss. That is a really good football team, obviously. So Lincoln Way West out to a 2-0 record now after beating Oswego East 20-18. And this is a game that I did not know what to make of heading into the contest, but I really have to give Lockport some credit out of the box here. They've done a really, really nice job against two pretty strong opponents, and I think they are definitely rounding into form real early. And if this is a team that can get their defense going, and if their offense, which posted 37 points tonight, can produce anywhere near that much, Lockport is going to be a real tough team to deal with. Nice effort for them to get to 2-0. This is a loaded schedule, and it remains a loaded schedule for Lockport. But for them to be 2-0 through the first two, really good sign for them moving forward. Just not something where they will get a lot of weeks to take a lot of breaths, because that is a stacked schedule. Loyola with a 27-6 win over Naperville North. Loyola kind of controlled this one from the outset. I had heard that Loyola's quarterback Fitzgerald was hurt in the game. I never got a follow up on that, but hopefully, if he is hurt, it's not that serious, and we'll be able to get him back on the field soon. So, Lions with a 13-0 win over Wheaton Warrensville South. That's drops Tigers to 0-2 on the season, and now they get the pleasure of going into the Duquesne Conference schedule. So, Maine West, 15-12 win over Round Lake. So, it's a good win there. So puts them. Excuse me, Maine West was 49-0 over Waukegan. Got my lines messed up there. My bad. So, go down here. Okay. So we've got Maine East with that 15-12 win over Round Lake. Okay. So right now, this process takes me a little bit longer to let you a little bit behind the curtain. The non-conference games are harder to put into my system. Once we get into conference games, I've got all the teams grouped by conference here. So sometimes I got to do a little searching to find the team on these back non-conference games. So it does take me a little bit longer when we have a whole bunch of these non-conference games. So Marengo with a 23-21 win over Woodstock tonight. Two teams that I think are kind of trying to fight to, stay in the middle of the pack of that Kishwaukee River Conference. So a leg up for Marengo there with that win. This was a doozy tonight. Marist with that 30-24 win over Brother Rice. Marist jumping out to that huge lead in that game. Brother Rice comes all the way back, but ultimately ends up giving up a late fourth quarter touchdown and losing that game. So, interesting game right there. You wondered about Marist if they'd be able to bounce back from that game where they didn't have a whole heck of a lot. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a drink for here. There we go. That's better. Okay. Like I was saying, Marist got up 24-0 in that game. Brother Rice comes roaring back, but Marist was able to put it away in the final minutes of that game. So, big win for Marist, getting them back to 1-1. Brother Rice also 1-1. Okay, Marmion over Chicago Curie, 40-0. It's them back to 1-1. Bishop McNamara with a 14-7 win over Herscher. The Irish back to 1-1. Herscher falls to 0-2 on the season. That was a bit of a scrap from what I was hearing. Finally, McNamara breaking through with a couple of second half scores. So Metamora with a 37-6 win over LaSalle Peru. And this, even though it's early, it looks like Metamora rounding back into the form that you've been watching high school football in the state of Illinois for a while. You're kind of more accustomed to from Metamora. Off to a good start, 2-0. Tough loss for LaSalle Peru in that situation, but credit to them scheduling some decent teams in non-conference schedule. So Marion Central Catholic tonight lost to the Milwaukee Academy of Science. That drops them to 0-2 on the season. A bit concerning for Hurricanes, but I do think that their new conference will give them a little bit easier path than some of the things that they've had to go through in the past. So obviously not ideal to be 0-2, looking forward to seeing the Hurricanes. I'm going to go see them on a Saturday afternoon matinee at Bishop McNamara next week. So looking forward to seeing them live. Okay, Lombard Montini, a 44-24 winner over Hillcrest. Montini, yet another one of those Chicago Catholic League teams that just really kind of needed to do what they've done here. They've gone 2-0 out of the box. Very tough conference schedule waiting for them. Got to get to 5 to get themselves into the field. If they do it, they will be as a 3A team, and I think they'll be very dangerous. But can they do it? That's a different question. It's so tough to work your way through that. So now we've got a little bit here, a little bit there. So once again, I appreciate all the scores you guys are dropping in there. I'm getting to the point where I'll have to start calling on you to try to find some for me. But very much appreciated. Thank you. Morris with a 50-20 win over Joliet West. I was interested in that one from a distance. I wanted to know how well Joliet West would be able to kind of hang in that one. Put up some points. Joliet West now 1-1 on the season. Morris once again doing what they do in the regular season, winning comfortably. So good start for them. Now we've got Morton with a 27-26 win over Rochelle. Rochelle's first loss of the season. Another nice win for a mid-Illini team. I was talking about this with someone earlier today. Now, this is an interesting score from a lot of perspectives. Chicago Mount Carmel, that 22-12 win over Morgan Park. And some people might look at that score and say, well, maybe it was kind of a letdown after the highly emotional game against East St. Louis. But I will tell you something that I genuinely believe in. I think Morgan Park's a really good football team. I'm not saying that I thought that they would beat Mount Carmel, but I'm not completely floored that they hung in there and made it pretty interesting. So Morgan Park, in my mind, is definitely the best team in the public league. Yeah, I'm sure you might get some arguments with the Division I talent that Kenwood has, but as far as team goes, I think Morgan Park is in a better place right now. They're very talented. They have some Division I caliber talent on their roster, but Coach Chris James has really put together some good stuff with that program over the last couple years. I think they're rounding into their own, and I honestly think that when we get deeper into the season and we start talking about potential postseason matchups, if you're smart, you're not going to want to see Morgan Park on that line opposite of you. I think they're very good. Mundelein with a 42-17 win over Grays Lake North. That's a pretty notable win for Mundelein, to be honest with you. A program that, to be honest with you, hasn't been real good for a while. So Grays Lake North, has done solid work. Won a couple games in recent playoffs. So for Mundelein to win that game that comfortably, that's a good win for them. Naperville Central ekes out a 6-3 win over Plainfield North. Just a real grinded out sort of game there, obviously. Honestly, I did not know what to expect from that game heading into this week. Plainfield North has some work to do on offense, it appears. They're going to be strong on defense. That's what this program always is, but hasn't done a whole heck of a lot on offense yet. So they'll try to get on track next week with Plainfield South. Plainfield South is also 0-2 right now, but I think that the talent gap there is pretty substantial. Now, here's one that really kind of surprised me tonight. Minooka losing 10-6 to Neuqua Valley. Neuqua Valley, a week removed from being shut out by Oswego in the opening week, which was one of the surprises of the week to me. But Neuqua bouncing back against a Minooka team that I think is very good. So that was kind of important, to be honest with you, for Neuqua Valley. I mean, they got to go to Lincoln Way East next week. So they really could not afford to lose this game because, I mean, they might be staring 0-3 in the face if that were the case. So kind of actually a pivotal win for them in the grand scheme of things. So Good stuff there for them. All right, New Trier picked up a win over Yorkville. That's a little surprising to me too, but definitely a win that New Trier can put a little feather in their cap in that one. So good job for them. They're 1-1 now. They in the first week of the season they dropped a fairly convincing loss to Percy, but bouncing back against a solid Yorkville team, 2-touchdown win there. Definitely something they can move forward with. So Yorkville dropping to 1-1. So not a great night for the typically strong Southwest Prairie West. I haven't seen Oswego did win. I just saw that score. But other than that, kind of a tough Tinley Park Andrew, the losers to Oswego tonight. But so far, at least on the results that I have, Southwest Prairie 1-4 in games tonight. So not not their best showing. Niles North with a 20-6 win over Leiden. Okay. So that Niles West with a 41-0 win over Morton. So a sweep for the Niles schools tonight. Okay. Now, Notre Dame with a 24-14 win over St. Patrick. Like I said, so far, and I might be wrong about this, the only Catholic League loser that have seen so far tonight to a non-Catholic League opponent is Nazareth. Every other Chicago Catholic League loss has come to another team in the league. Ottawa with a 41-0 win over Streeter. Streeter brought back down to earth after posting all those points last week. So that's Ottawa back in the groove. So Ottawa Marquette with a 55-6 win over Madison. Once again, they needed that win to get back to the 500 mark. Madison down by St. Louis, in case you're curious, not Wisconsin. All right, Palatine, 42-17 win over Buffalo Grove. So Palatine, after losing last week to St. Charles North, gets back to the 500 mark. Plainfield Central with a 15-12 win over Matea Valley. So Plainfield Central back to 1-1 after they were beaten by Lincoln Way East in week 1. Plano with a 29-0 win over Mantino. So Plano out to a 2-0 start. Good start for them. This was a team that last year, a lot of people thought with a couple of breaks they could have had a better fate, but obviously taking their own breaks right now with a shutout victory. Right. Richmond Burton with a 25-6 win over Quincy Notre Dame. So Richmond Burton, once again, stacking up regular season victories. Have not lost a regular season game since 2018, which is one of my favorite stats. That is crazy. Okay. Ridgewood with a win tonight. That puts Ridgewood at 2-0 on the season. Clemente this evening. Riverside Brookfield with a 35-27 win over Hinsdale South. Riverside Brookfield, at least for this year, I believe it's a one-year arrangement, is part of the Southland Conference. So they will begin that league play next week. By adding that, then that gives the Southland Conference 8 football teams. The last few years, they have had an odd number, which has made for some very difficult scheduling for some of those teams later in the year. Wheaton St. Francis gets back to the 500 mark with a 42-28 win over Sterling. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think that drops Sterling to 0-2 on the season, which is something that I would not have anticipated, even though they have played a pretty strong schedule out of the box. So, yeah, Sterling is 0-2. That is confirmed. Wheaton St. Francis is now 1-1. So, talk about it a lot, and it's worthy of mentioning often because they are that good. Catholic League racking up wins all over the place tonight. I'm just punching in the 33-20 win for St. Rita over Kenwood this evening. Kenwood dropping to 0-2, but I'll be frank, I'm not that worried about Kenwood getting things back together. Scheduled up in the non-conference back-to-back games now with Lincoln Way East and St. Rita. Now they get into their conference schedule, and I imagine the path will be a lot cleaner for them. St. Viator brought in Milwaukee Riverside, won that game 53-0. So now I'm looking at it, and I think I've got everybody in from the Catholic League this evening. Yeah, the only teams that lost in the Catholic League tonight: St. Patrick, Providence, Nazareth, St. Ignatius, and Brother Rice. So there were 5 losses in the league. One team plays tomorrow, Marian Catholic, with a Saturday game with Homewood Flossmoor. So 18-5 among the teams that were there. And 4 of the 5 lost to other teams in the league. So once again, another banner showing for CCL ESCC teams. Sandburg with a 26-11 win over Oak Forest tonight. Pulls Sandburg back to 1-1 on the season after they lost to St. Rita. Interesting to see what happens with Sandburg as they get back into league play. Schaumburg with a 35-28 win over Rolling Meadows. Quality win there for Schaumburg. Schaumburg trying to get themselves kind of out of the doldrums in the mid-sub conference. They struggled in league play over the last few years. They step up, win over Rolling Meadows, a step in the right direction for them. Seneca followed up last week's win that surprised some over Wilmington last week with a 40-7 win over Lisle. Seneca now 2-0. Lisle dropping back to 1-1. So, okay. Shepherd with a 42-14 win over Brooks. Shepherd back to the 500 mark after losing to Joliet West in week 1. Let's go here. All right. So, checking this out as I go here, just trying to get a feel for it. Okay. Shepherd beats Brooks. Got that one. Okay. It's Stagg with a comfortable win over Oak Lawn tonight. Stagg, once again, out 2-0. They did exactly the same thing last year before getting into conference play, and then the walls came tumbling down for Stag, who lost their remaining 7 games. But maybe this is another step for them, and they can get themselves a couple of league wins this year. We'll see. But good start for Stag nonetheless. Only win the ones that are put in front of you. Stevenson with a 52-24 win over Taft. Once again, another one of those public league programs that has challenged themselves in the non-conference. That's going to be a tough matchup for Taft in most years, and it was tonight. Stevenson's off to a pretty solid start this year, so they're not to be trifled with right now. Interesting game next week for Stevenson is Lake Zurich comes to town. TF North with a 39-7 win over Thornton. TF North only won 1 game last season, so that's a step in the right direction for them. Thornton has had a rough go of it the last few years. They play Crete Moni next week, so I can't imagine that's going to help them get much healthier. Let's see. Vernon Hills with a 28-21 win over Lakes. Solid win there. Okay. Getting real close to where I'll start occasionally popping off scores if you guys have them for me. I apologize. Some of them I might be asking for, you've probably already put in the scroll. When I first put in all these scores, and I try to center in on a certain area and go from there. So you may have put them already in. Okay, Waubonsee Valley with a 20-7 win over Plainfield East. All right. Okay. West Aurora with a 45-24 win over Noble Bulls Prep. Okay. Westmont 27, Prosser 21. Wheaton Academy defeats St. Charles East tonight, 41-23. Good win there for Wheaton Academy. They're 2-0 after their trip to Texas last week netted them a win over Austin St. Michael. St. Charles East down to 0-2. They're losing to Lincoln Way Central in the first week of the season. Willowbrook, 27-14 win tonight over Glenbard North. Nice win for them over a Duquesne team. Okay, score hunters. I need an Aurora Central Catholic East Peoria score. I need a Deerfield Highland Park score. And Hoffman Estates Elk Grove are 3 that I do not have. Okay. Got that done. Last of the Catholic League scores that I needed to get. So those are all in now. All right, guys. Already down to a little less than 100, so doing good. Thank you for the Hoffman Estates Outgrove score. I appreciate it. Uh, I saw this up there before, but could somebody please repeat the Chicago Phillips Rich Township score? St. Charles North and Crete Monee, TF South and Lane, Tinley Park Romeoville, and Zion Benton Antioch. Thank you for Phillips and Rich Township. I know I saw that up there before, but I got it lost in the shuffle. Okay. Rich Township. Let's see, where are you, Rich Township? There you are. Okay. 15, 32, 15. Nice bounce back for Phillips there. All right, Antioch 55-27 over Zion Benton. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay, Deerfield 21-16. Okay. Can someone confirm Shelbyville Eureka score for me, please? Okay. All right, so now I'm going to start moving out of Chicagoland and start chasing some scores that way. Missing a bunch of these, but I appear to have a lot of them. It's just a matter of data entry at this point. Nathan's wins 63-21. Let's go. 63 to nothing. Okay, Casey Westfield, 63-0. That makes Casey Westfield 2-0 on the young season. Okay. Okay. Boy, Normal Community with another big win. They are not messing around out of the box. 57-6 over Champaign Central tonight. Remington Central Catholic out to an easy win over Rantoul this evening. Okay. Charleston defeats Paris. 20. Charleston out to a 2-0 start. Nice bounce back for them so far this year. Beating Herscher in week 1. Now, comfortable win over Paris, who drops back to 1-1 after defeating an Indiana team, North Vermilion, in week 1. Okay. Paxton Buckley Loda, a 55-8 winner over Newton. That's the one non-conference game of the year for Paxton outside of their conference. 9 teams in that league, so you have to find one non-con game to fill the slate. Paxton trying to stay in the mix in the Illinois Prairie. Tough league. Tough to break through, especially at the top. Teams like Tolono Unity and Prairie Central. Sullivan with a nice 54-6 win over Arcola tonight. I gotta tell you, Sullivan moving over from the Central Illinois for the Little Illini seems to have suited them rather well. 2 comfortable wins to start the season in that league, so good start to the year for them. Okay, I'm going to start popping some other ones out here. I'm looking for Pekin and Belleville East. I know that Belleville East won. I just need a final. Monticello with a 52-13 win over IBC. Hey guys, moving along here, slowly but surely. Belvedere North 51-6 over Rockford East. Okay. Galena 49-0 tonight over West Carroll. Okay. Check in here, see what you guys are up to. Belleville East 34-14 over Pekin. Thank you for that. Okay. And then, let's see here. Looking for a Carbondale Mount Vernon final. Forsyth 49-6 tonight over Auburn. I don't know if I've seen an Olympia Pittsfield score. I don't believe I have. Williamsville 49-13 over Riverton. I know I also saw it, but if anybody could confirm a Murfreesboro and a Jonesboro score for me, that would be great. 48-14 Freeport, Belvedere. So moving that along. I'm also looking for Whitney Young and Perspectives leadership out of the public league. And also, does anyone have a final on the Althoff St. Teresa game? I know Althoff was winning comfortably, but I don't think I ever saw a final. That's interesting. Knoxville with a 48-30 win over Macomb. Good win for them. Edwardsville rolls tonight, 47-6 over Cahokia. I really like that Edwardsville team. Thus far, what I've seen out of them. Don't know if they can challenge East St. Louis, but I think it's an interesting discussion. O'Fallon defeats Troy Buchanan out of Missouri. Troy's usually a pretty decent team. I think I saw they were ranked in the top 20 of the Missouri poll, so a nice win there for them. Salem with a 47-13 win over Alton Marquette. Shout out to my old buddy Kevin Green. Out to a 2-0 start with his Salem club. I still have not seen the East Peoria score. It wouldn't surprise me to learn that game is tomorrow, but I do have it marked down as a Friday game. Thank you for the St. Teresa score. That was the last I'd saw, but I'd not seen it as a final. Appreciate that. So Belleville, Althoff. Man, I really like what I've seen out of that Althoff team. My friends from Southern Illinois that alerted me to that appear to have been dead on. They have off to a really nice start there. Lincoln with a 46-6 win over Decatur St. Teresa. Lincoln quietly off to a nice start. Now a member of the Central State 8 Conference. But good for them. Rockford Boylan. 46-0 over Rockford Jefferson. So Rockford Boylan's kind of an interesting situation this year. They dropped their multiplier, so no longer multiplied. So playing 6, 7, and 8, sometimes 8A competition all year long and doing pretty well should prepare them quite nicely for the 4A playoffs, which is where they're likely to end up. So very interesting little tack there to keep an eye on Rockford Boylan this year. Duran Pecatonica with a 46-6 win over Eastland Pearl City. Okay. So now, really getting going here. DuQuoin, 44-8 over Harrisburg. Down to about 90 games right now, guys. So that's really good for this early in the evening. And I think a lot of them are out there. It's just a data entry thing at this point. 44-8. Harrisburg. Looking for Greenville and Hillsboro. Iroquois West with a 42-0 win over Watseka. Iroquois West back to 1-1 now. Watseka falls to 1-1. Mundelein got that score earlier. York got that one. Cumberland with a 42-17 win over Sangamon Valley. Okay. Quick game check here. All right. I am now at 85 missing games. Leroy over Meridian, 42-19. Leroy off to a nice 2-0 start here. Good for them. I was in Leroy last night trying to get air into a tire that eventually got flat. It wasn't Leroy's fault, though. Okay. Civic Memorial with a 41-6 win over Wood River. Okay. A couple of randos here I'll throw out there. East Peoria score. There it is. Thank you. Much appreciated. Okay. 27-7. Okay. Stockton and Hayworth is one that I'm looking for right now. Wouldn't be surprised to learn that that is also tomorrow, but I had it on my schedule as tonight. Did anyone have any luck with that Shelbyville Eureka score? Because I'm getting a confusing mark on here. I heard that Shelbyville won the game 44-38, but I'm seeing a final here that says 38-14, but has Shelbyville bolded. So if anybody knows out there what the actual score of that game was, that would be very helpful. Stockton beats Hayworth. Thank you for that. Okay. Just under 80 missing now. Jacksonville out to a 2-0 start now. But Griffin gets back in the win column tonight with 35-14 win over Normal U. Taylorville beats Robinson 35-6. Okay. Looking for some Black Diamond Conference scores. I haven't seen many of those. I apologize. I think I saw some of them on the stream, but if anybody has them, I would appreciate it. Delano Unity, 35-14 win over St. Joe Ogden. Those longtime rivals. Delano, I think, is a pretty dangerous team in the 3A ranks this year. Villa Grove, 35. Arthur, 27. Okay. Man score. Collinsville over Centralia. Wait a minute. Okay, Collinsville, Centralia. If anybody could help me out with that one, I'm getting a conflicting piece of information there. Okay. Monmouth loses. Also, I'm looking for Monmouth, United, and Rushville. Okay. Long shot here, but I think I'll ask anyway. Corliss and Carver is one that I'm looking for right now. Thank you for those Black Diamond scores. Anybody got a Flora Christopher one so I can mark those all off? That would be appreciated. Looking for a Rockridge Ridgeview final and a Fisher South Newton, Indiana final. Okay. Those are done. Those are done. 30-22 over Erie. Getting closer there, guys. I think we're around 60 games that we're missing. But pretty good for 12:30, to be honest with you. $64 games missing now. Got a weird one I'm looking for here. Massac County and Ballard Memorial out of Kentucky. Okay. Rockridge won that one 39-32. Thank you for that one. I appreciate it. Freeburg, 28-7. Can anybody confirm Jerseyville over Freeburg? Surprises me a little bit, more so than I think. Might have a bad score. That's the only reason I ask. I'm also looking for a Dunlap Rock Island score. I know I saw that earlier, and I think the score that I'm looking at is not right. Also looking for a Litchfield score with Southwestern. Also, Monmouth and Bureau Valley. I think one of my score sources is messed up tonight. Cesar Valley and Pinckneyville. Stark County and Anawan Weathersfield. Brown County and West Central. Pana and Carlinville. Yeah, a lot of these I think are messed up in this file tonight. Excellent. Thanks so much, guys. It's very helpful. One of my score files tonight is being really wacky. Stark County. Interesting. Nice win there for them. Okay. Monmouth 21-14. Thank you for that. Okay. Slowly pulling it together here. Little over 50 scores to go. I'd just like to confirm the Forest and Dakota score, if I could, with someone. Okay. Looking for Effingham and Mount Carmel. And Cerro Gordo and Tri County. Nokomis and Argenta Oriana. Belleville West losing tonight to Fort Zumwalt West out of Missouri. Thought that might be a more competitive game. 42-17 is the final I'm showing here. Also looking for a Clinton Tri-Valley score from tonight. Mount Carmel wins 36-30. Yeah, the Wivik score that I was looking for, Michael, is West Central and Camp Point Central. I think that was the game. Let me look. West Central and Brown County. My bad. So, thank you for that. Okay. Last Wivik that I'm missing is Beardstown and Pleasant Hill. Sorry, I had to reload on some Dr. Pepper there. Lap was 21-7. Rock Island. Okay. Missing 47 games now, so that's definitely coming down the home stretch here. Beardstown 34-14. Thank you, sir. Anybody got Clinton and Tri-Valley? That's one that I'm curious about. Have a score here. I didn't put it in correctly. I'd also like to confirm the Breeze Central Modern Day score from tonight, if I could, with someone. And also looking for a Prairie Central Pontiac score from tonight. I just found one of those pesky South Suburbs scores that I had not found. Tinley Park, a 34-14 winner over Romeo Mill. All right, last 43. 17-14, Trenton Westland over Clayton of St. Louis. Back. Paso 41-13 over Fieldcrest. Looking for Glenwood and Springfield Lanphier as well. Gibson City, Deer Creek, Mackinac is also on my list of missings. Yikes. All right, Glenwood. Figured, but okay. Other one from Central State 8 that I'm missing. Springfield Southeast and Peoria Richwoods. And also looking for Spring Valley Hall and Riverdale. All right. And then there were 35. Make that 34. Okay. Warrensburg, Latham, and Tremont. Agreed. Deer Creek, Mackinac. Getting it done. A long time since I've been to Deer Creek, Mackinac. I went to a playoff game there once against Moments. That was one of the more entertaining high school football playoff games I remember seeing. Tremont Warrensburg is Saturday. Boy, that's bad news. Yikes. Mount Carmel. Shooting after the game. Yikes. Tremont and Warrensburg Latham is tomorrow at 1. Okay, I'll make that change. All right. See over Alton 42-8. Looking for a Hoopston Salt Fork score. Also, a Ridge Farm Oakwood score from the same conference. Missing 2 from that league. Yikes. Hope that isn't right. He's got an 80-8 score between Hall and Riverdale. It seems a little excessive. Okay. Officially at 30 missing games. We just found a public league score that I don't usually find this late in the game. Carver 40-7 over Corliss. Need a Highland Muhammad Seymour score. Okay. Looking for Champaign Centennial and Peoria Manual. Really? 28-0 for Muhammad Seymour. That surprises me. Okay. Aura 27-6. That was my missing black diamond. Looking for a Mattoon East Richland score. Six over Chester. That's a new one. Okay. Starting to see it, guys. Close. Nashville and Carterville is another one that I'm looking for. Also, would like a Waterloo Columbia final if anyone has it. Marion over Granite City. Okay. I know somebody put it in the score thread earlier, but does anyone have a Harlem Hananiga score? Carterville was 35-14. Okay, Havana and Princeville. There's another one that I'm looking for. Down to 16 games. Okay. About to just run down the list here to see if you guys have any of these. Some of them I know you do, because like I said, I missed some of the things in the earlier stream. Found that Ballard Memorial score, so that's one less. Vandalia and Staunton is one that I know that I'm looking for. I just found the Oakwood Georgetown Ridge Farm score that I was looking for. All right. And thank you for the Princeville score. 36-14 for them. Greenfield of Remembered Unity. I think I got that earlier. Arrington over Prospect. Wow. I saw that was happening earlier, but that is a monster win for Barrington. This is a really good team. My goodness. Impressive. All right, down to the last 13, guys. I think we can find them all. I believe in us. Okay. There's the St. Charles North Crete Moni game. (30 to 14) in favor of St. Charles North. They're 2-0. Crete 0-2, but they always schedule really tough in the early going of the season. Hononegah 42 to 7. So that's yikes. That is a big win for Hononegah. I didn't expect that margin. Stunned by the outcome, but okay. So Vandalia 21-7. Thank you for that. A few of these have probably been passed along to me already, but missing Rockford, Auburn, and Rockford, Guilford, Whitney Young, and Perspectives Leadership. Centralia and Collinsville. Southwestern and Litchfield. I know someone posted Nokomis Argenta, but I must have lost it in the shuffle. Tri Valley and Clinton. Just found Whitney Young in Perspectives. So we are at 8 games. Okay. Checking something here because I don't think it's right. Okay. All right. So Tri Valley and Clinton is another one that I've been looking for. Southwestern 27-21 in overtime. Okay. I know I've seen this, but Tuscola and Carlisle. 614 Nokomis. $49.30. Just killing it tonight, guys. Thank you so much. All right, the final four: Centralia, Collinsville, Cerro Gordo, Tri County, Clinton Tri Valley, and Guilford Auburn. There's Auburn. I saw it now. Thank you. Okay. I have a feeling this is tonight's work is going to require a go back because one of my score files is sending me a lot of results that I don't appear to be right. So that's disturbing. But we will move forward. Okay. Alrighty then. Collinsville 34-14. Okay. All right. I am sitting. I don't know if maybe someone put it up there. I do not have a Clinton Tri Valley score, and that is it. That is the only one I appear to be missing. 34-14. All right, that might be a record, guys. 103, and I have every score on the board. So, um, thank you very much for all your help tonight. Much appreciated. Just for fun, I'll throw a couple of stats at you before we go. There are currently 140 teams in the state of Illinois with 2-0 records. And then let's check the 0-2s. And 126 with 0-2 records. So that's where we're at right now. All right, guys, I think I'm going to call it an early night this evening. Once again, I appreciate all of your help. Weird that I'm not posting a I'm chasing these scores list, but that's thanks to all of your assistance. So, all right, sounds really good. That Tri-Valley score wrong before I sign out? Got any idea, guys? Seeing 34-14 at the Herald Review. So, yep, okay. Looks good. Once again, thanks, guys. We'll get a little more in depth next week when we start clearing some of the chaff out of here. But I appreciate all your help. Have a good night, everyone.